Welcome to Resisting Beta, the men's health podcast. And now, your host, Andrew Bontz. All right, men. We are here for another episode of the Resisting Beta podcast. I am Andrew Bontz, your host. We have a little bit of a quick cast today, and I want to see how you like it. So here are some questions that we're going to dive into today. How do you bounce back from divorce and become the best version of yourself? And then how do you develop the discipline to become the man you really aspire to be? And there's one thing that we're really going to focus on this episode is what is 23 Strong and how will it help take me or you to the next level in your life? So our guest today, we have a special treat. We have Dr. Dave Braun. He's a renowned 3-time international best-selling author, co-founder of Oola, the mind and body company. And they have this cool bus they drive around. It's like a 1970s VW surf bus. It's been to 48 states. And it collects handwritten dreams on the side. And there's 30 layers of dream stickers on this bus. And from people around the globe, consisting of more than 150,000 individual dreams. So it's such a pleasure to have you here, Dr. Dave.
It's such a pleasure to be here. And the coolest part is when you started off this whole podcast, what you said is like getting through divorce and all of that. And that's how Oola started for me, is really going through divorce, hitting the bottom and saying, man, I'm doing something different with my life.
Hey, man, I'm curious about that story. Like, fill us in a little bit more about bouncing from the bottom to the top, and maybe a shorter version or the Reader's Digest version.
Yeah, I mean, that's where the first book, Oola, Five Balance Unbalanced World, starts. It starts with me in a motel on the bad side of town after I just tucked in 5 of my kids and they didn't even know their parents were going through a divorce. And I drove my mom's beat up old Taurus, beat up old car away from a multi-million-dollar house I was just getting like taken back from the banks. And just a tough time in my life, 2007, 2008, 2009, lost everything, lost a 17-year marriage, 5 kids. And really had to just start over from the beginning, start over from scratch, and living in a motel on the bad side of town, that kind of story. And really tapping back into Oola, a buddy of mine who retired at 42, married to his high school sweetheart, running Ironman, traveling the world. I called him and I said, you're never going to believe where I am, like where my life is. And he said, get back to these principles about balancing your life in these 7 key areas. And I said, man, if I do, and this works, I'm going to write a book about it. And, from 2007, 8, 9, digging myself back about 4 or 5 years later, 2012 came around the corner and my life was much better. And I wrote the first Oola book based on that. So yeah, had it, lost everything, and started building it back up, and then wrote a book about how to get it back after you've lost everything.
So what were the core principles of bouncing back? I mean, what were the steps and the phases you went through to get your feet back underneath you and build the life where you're at today?
I think there's 3 steps that we're going to talk about, but I feel like I want to take it a step deeper just because I had a conversation recently with a guy who's going through a divorce. And the first one is just really being self-aware of exactly where you are in life and being real with it. And that leads into step 1. And step 1 is understanding where you are in the 7 key areas of life, which are fitness, finance, family, field, which is your career, faith, friends, and fun. And in 2008, I was at the bottom in all of them. My health was out of control. Like I was stressed, not healthy. My faith walk was terrible. I lost my job, lost my house, total going through a bankruptcy, going through a divorce. So I had lost everything. And I think the first thing is that first step is being very self-aware. You cannot change anything in your life until you say, okay, let's get real with exactly where I am right now in these 7 key areas. And then the next step is understanding where you want to go. And that's really putting together a plan. The coolest part about like starting over or going through a tough time or going through a divorce is it's a new chapter. It's not turning the page. It's a blank page. And it's like you can put rocket fuel on the life that you want to start to build for your life. Once you start going, okay, this is where I am. This is where I want to go. And then step 3 is how am I going to get there, and really putting daily action in place every single day to really start to rebuild your life back. And that's exactly what I did. I got really real with where I was. I started putting a plan in action for all 7 key areas of life, what I wanted for my career, my finances, my family. And to this day, my kids are great. I have 5 kids, like I said. They're all adults now. They're amazing. I have 5 grandkids. So life is really good on all levels, but it took a lot of work and daily action to get there.
So the main key topic here that I really want to introduce is like the mindset stuff, right? Because I think mindset is really the foundational piece of it. So, how did you strengthen your mind through those trials and tribulations? And, probably to this day, what are some of the key activities that you help people get through when they're in the shit, and
Yeah.
digging their way out?
The biggest, I mean, there's so many different approaches to mindset, right? Like strong mindset, mindset of gratitude, start loving yourself, whatever that is. But I think the reality is, I'm going to go back to what we talked about just being self aware. And you got to get in the mindset of reality. Most of the time, when I'm talking to men who are going through a divorce, they're completely delusional about what they're going through in their life because they don't want to face it. They've swept it under the rug. They don't want to look at it. And you have to get to the mindset of, man, wherever I am right now, where I am is just where I am. It's not who I am, and I'm in charge and I get to decide where I want my life to go. And once you understand that simple mindset, so it's the mindset of understanding that where you are right now in this moment is where you are, it's not who you are, and you get to decide, not your ex-spouse, not your parents, not your coworkers. You get to decide where you want your life to go, what kind of father you want to be, well, how you want to be from a standpoint of fitness and health, how you want to be from a standpoint of what you do for fun and your passions and your purpose. You get to decide that. So I love marriage. I'm all about marriage. But if you end up on the other side of that and you're going through a divorce or you're going through a tough time in life, there's a beautiful thing there. There's a really beautiful thing because it's not a new page. Like I said, it's a new chapter, and just getting very real and saying, okay, man, this is exactly where I am. And then you get to decide where you want to go. So you got to get in the mindset of reality. And once you're in the mindset of reality, then you can start looking at blessings and get into the mindset of gratitude. And then you can look at the work you have to do and get into the mindset of discipline and surround yourself with great people to help you along the way. But it's not just one single mindset. It's multiple factors that you need to change inside your mindset so that you can start moving yourself forward. And only you know what you need to start to tap into. Is it more gratitude? Are you complaining all the time? It's claiming that you're a victim in all of this. Is it more discipline and you're actually letting laziness get the best of you? You're not going to the gym or paying off your debt or paying your child support, whatever that is. Where are you and where do you want your life to go and who do you want to become? And then you start to build your mindset around that.
I really like the few key points you mentioned were that self awareness and the identity, and using this transformational time to figure out who you are. Like, who are you truly? What is the identity that you're going to move forward with? Because everything who you used to be is pretty much changed, flipped on its head. Where how you used to describe yourself is brand new. And all of a sudden, the core values that maybe didn't align, like for me with my ex-wife, like our core values were very, very separate. We had common interests, and we were married basically off of interest and attraction, right? But our core values were different. And that's such a key point of transformation, right? Towards like, okay, who are you? And answering the, and like, what do you want? And I don't know how many people can answer that question at that phase in their life.
Yeah, I think giving yourself a break. Like I know that giving yourself a break, like a lot of when I look at what I went through, right? And when I was going through it, it wasn't like all great days, right? There's a lot of bad days and there's a lot of like I don't even know where I am. I don't even know who I want to become. I don't even know what I want. But as long as you continue to have faith and hope and that's a mindset of hope, right? Like I'm going to continue to build this story of who I want to be and I'm going to keep working towards that and you'll eventually pop through them. You come out of the fog and you're like, okay, here I am right now. Like now I get it. Now I know where I want to be. And if I look at like, I didn't just go through a divorce. I had to go through that bankruptcy in 2008 because I had a huge business that went under because of the economy crash, housing market crash, all of that. So I had to start over from scratch. So it took me 2 years to really get through the fog a little bit of where I want to go. And I knew I had this mission of if this works for me, I'm going to share this with the world. So I knew at the end of this, as I'm starting to get my life back on track, I want to write a book about it, go start speaking about it, jumping on podcasts, TV, radio, whatever. And so I knew that that was that lighthouse in a distance, but you still have to go through the grind every single day. And as long as it's 2 or 3 steps forward and then 1 step back, 2 or 3 steps forward, you're going to eventually get there. So it's really just head down and constantly pushing forward to get a good truth crew around you, a couple good guys or gals, whatever, that are going to help move you forward is also another key thing is just really have that support as you're working through listening to podcasts like this. Just surround yourself with good information and good people and then keep moving yourself forward is such a key part. And the weird story is like all my dreams started coming true as I started working this plan. But it wasn't like snap of a fingers. It took time, and I had to work through the process over and over to get there.
So let's talk about process. I mean, one of the things that I was really excited about picking your brain about is this program 23 Strong. I mean, how does that process help people bounce back or get out of the suck or the stuck or away from the mediocre life?
23 Strong is amazing. In Oola, we have products and programs to help you find a life of balance, growth, and purpose. One of those programs is 23 Strong. And literally met this guy backstage years ago. His name is James Lawrence. He's an Iron Cowboy. You have to look him up on social media. And he's just first of all a good human. And I always said that someday we're gonna work together, do something together, because he's just a good guy. And I saw the need in this world of mindset where people have weaker mindsets or they don't even know where to start to strengthen their mindset. They want a stronger mindset. And when we went through and built this program, 23 Strong, which we'll talk about, when we went through and built it with Iron Cowboy, we actually laid down what gets in the way of people building mindsets, building stronger mindsets. And we break that down throughout the whole course. Now, the cool thing about the Iron Cowboy is he found himself at the bottom in 2007, 8, 9. He was in real estate, lost everything, had to start over. And what he knew he could do is he could endure pain. So that's what he knew he could do. He could endure pain. So he decided that I don't know what's going to happen, but if I can break the Ironman record, and at this point, I think he's ran like a half a marathon. If I can break the Ironman record of 35 Ironman in a year, I know at the end of that, there's going to be something for my family and I to do, whether it's speaking or writing books or whatever. Well, he set out and he ended up doing 50 Ironman, full distance Ironman in 50 states in 50 days. He did 50 Ironman in a row in 50 different states. They had to navigate the logistics of travel and everything to make this happen. So it's called the 50-50-50, obviously Guinness Book World Record, but it got him on the map everywhere. And it did turn into his career. And that's it. He could stop there. But then he said, you know what? I know there's more in me. And he decided to do what's called the Conquer 100. And that's to run 100 Ironmen in 100 consecutive days. And on day 101, when no one showed up, no crowd, no audience, he got up on day 101 and he goes, I'm going to do one more. And he ran a full distance Ironman on day 101. And we teamed up with him to say, what does it take to build that mindset? And he goes into gratitude and he goes into passion. He goes into discipline and he goes into, sucking up buttercup kind of stuff and just push through as well. But there's a lot of pushing you and there's a lot of pulling you and come with me. So it's a great program. And not only does it just give you a lot of education, but it also gives you a lot of training and gives you daily challenges that you have to do. So you have to do it. You have to take action and start doing stuff. So you can pick mind challenges, body challenges, or mind and body direction with the program. And I think if someone's going through a divorce and working on some things, a mind and body combo is really a great idea to work on your mind and your body as you're working through this 23 days of, there's different phases, but this 23 days to make yourself stronger mentally and physically.
Hey man, that process, I mean, it wasn't 23 Strong, but I remember when I was going through my divorce, the day of it got finalized, I saw a bottle of bourbon on the top of my fridge, and I just wanted to get smashed. And for some reason, whether it's God's grace or fate or whatever, I decided to not do it. I was like, what if I use this pain as fire, as something to do something good? And I decided to wake up before sunrise 100 days in a row and just write my gratitude journal and have that just be the base. And some days I'd do my full success ritual, and some days I'd only just get up before sunrise and just write my gratitude journal. And developing that discipline really changed my life. I mean, saved my life probably, and positioned me as kind of the man I am today and right now. So I can only imagine where some of the men are at mentally and physically, and it's pretty easy to want to just give up or live as a victim or say woe is me, because I remember the amount of attention that I got from people checking in, like, how are you? It's like, oh, you're so sad, you're crying all the time. And it's like, it's easy to crave that attention, but don't stay there, right? That 3 steps forward, 1 step back, being and giving yourself the grace on those one step back moments, but don't stay there. Don't wallow there. And I'm a processing person and a system person, so I'm super excited to dive in to this 23 strong here on the 23rd of February, and I'm excited to take some men along with us. So this is really cool information, and I can add some information in the show notes for it too. So while we're coming near the end of this quick cast here, I ask every single guest, Dr. Dave, two questions. So the first one is, what does it mean to be a man to you?
Man, this is I know this one in my heart, and it's might not be what you hear. Maybe it is. I'm not sure. But to me, being a man is getting outside the ego and being extremely loving and extremely kind. And I feel like I try to be as kind and loving as I can, and I don't feel like I've ever been taken advantage of in those moments. I think if you're strong in your values and you know who you are and what you want, really working on that strength of who you are and who you want to become, being better every day, being better every year, and just leading with love and kindness is such a key thing. And that doesn't mean weak. That means I can throw down weights. I can do all that. I can sit in my cold plunge every day, 31 days straight. All of that is a man. But it also, I think what really truly makes a man is anybody can sit in a cold plunge, but to constantly lead with love and kindness, really truly makes a solid man.
Love that. And I want you to give the men some homework. So I want them to, what would be something to get them some quick win, some momentum, something to do over the next 7 days, one thing to help change their life and get some quick wins to start being on the path towards the best version of themselves.
So I would really real simply, this could be a little more detailed. So this is like pen and paper stuff, and you can put it in the show notes or whatever. But I would write down the 7 key areas of life: fitness, finance, family, field, which is your career, faith, friends, and fun. And I would simply, I mean, you can go online and do the whole test and all that stuff at Oola Life, but I would simply say, where am I in those 7 key areas? 1 to 10. One being I'm sucking right now, or I'm amazing right now. Where am I in my fitness, mental and physical health? Where am I in my finances, my debt, my giving, my saving, child support, whatever that is? Where am I with my family, my immediate family? Where am I with my friendships? Where am I with my faith walk? Am I pissed, hate God, whatever? Or am I like on a good path? Whatever you are, it's your thing, right? But understanding where you are, I think that'd be the first step for everyone listening to this right now. That's that self awareness step of like, where am I? And then if you want to take it the next stage, then go step 2 and go, where do I want to go? What's a dream? What's a goal for each of these 7 key areas that I have? Where do I want to be in the next year with my fitness, my finance, my family, maybe my kids or stepkids, whatever that is, dating again, friendships, all of that stuff. And then what could you start doing tomorrow? What are 3 things you can do tomorrow? So with Oola, we have an app and we have a system, but one of the things we have every single person in Oola do is they do this simple process. Where am I? Where do I want to go? But then how am I going to get there? Every night before they go to bed, they look at where they want to go and they write down 3 action steps they're going to do the next day. So that's a lot. I mean, I would say then the other thing would be do 23 strong with the crew of guys who's going to do it. I'm on phase 2 right now and loving it. But that's another great program. But really, if you can simply grab a notebook and say, where am I in these 7 key areas? Real simply, where do I want to go and what can I start doing every single day to get there? That'll start to create that momentum for you in your life to start making that change that you're looking for.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I totally agree. So if the men, now that they've gotten all the value from you, but we're leaving them wanting for more here. So where can they continue to build a relationship with you and pay attention to you? I'll add your Instagram to the show notes. Is that the best place for men to connect with you and follow along in your journey?
Yeah, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter is all good. Oola Life is our company. So at Oola Life for everything. There's always great inspiration in there, what's going on in Oola from a standpoint of products and programs. On my personal, at Oola Seeker, it's a lot of just my journey, my stuff, but you can reach out to me, message me, whatever, all that good stuff. That's just my stuff is what that is. So Oola Life has a lot of valuable information for someone that's really trying to get their life on the right track, find more balance, growth, and purpose in life.
Awesome. Well, man, I'll add the Dr. Dave's books in the show notes. Any important information will be there, so check that stuff out. Dr. Dave, I want to honor you for putting the work in and investing in yourself and creating the ripple effect from that depth that you built yourself from to all of the people and the men that you're impacting today. It's just an honor to have you on the podcast, and I'm just really proud of the efforts that you've invested in just the opportunity to help spread your message and your story.
Same to you, man. I mean, going through a tough time on your own and putting together this podcast to help other men is an amazing thing. So we really have to constantly, work on ourselves and then reach back in the fire and help others. So that's really the whole key to helping make the world a better place.
Awesome. I really appreciate you. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Resisting Beta podcast. Here's where I need your help. I'd love for you to give us a review on your favorite podcast player. Also, follow us on TikTok and Instagram and share this message out to a man that needs to hear it, because that's how we impact this world. Thank you very much. Make it a great day, men.